And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Chris Sagaas is our guest. Chris is director of the Utica Public Library, has been since 2017. And before we went to break, Chris, I mentioned that I thought I knew where an awful lot of your phone calls and inquiries were coming from, and I think it has to do with genealogy.
Absolutely. We, I think I know we've spoken about this before. I would say the interest now in people doing the online DNA testing, figuring out where their ancestors are from, that's just become a much more intriguing thing to people all over the place. So a lot of those resources are still available and still only accessible by contacting reference librarians, researchers, not only just at Utica Public Library, but certainly at Oneida County History Center as well. There's a really robust network of local history, genealogy experts and people who do that volunteer work in the community. That's who actually staffs our local history genealogy room. And it's definitely something that's growing, something we want to put a little more effort and energy into as far as what kind of services we offer and how do we connect people from, hey, here's what my ancestral makeup is. Where did my ancestors live in the city? Where they live in the Mohawk Valley, and those type of questions. The
genealogy room, as I recall, was on the stairs right below your office, actually, right?
Yeah, it was. Now it's moved up onto our main second floor, right next to the art gallery.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of the west side of the building facing Genesee Street.
Okay, that's a bigger room than you had?
Yeah. And it's more well lit and a little more easily accessible.
And next to the art room, that room is used for a lot of things over the years. I know I've attended many things over there.
Yeah, we have, during National Library Week this year, the theme of National Library Week is Libraries Equal Strong Communities. So we have some great programming that's geared towards all aspects of the community. Essentially, we on a Saturday we have our really popular, we've grown it year after year, how to make a butter lamb class that's taught by a woman in the community. She teaches people who come in, they pre-register how to make their butter lamb as a table decoration, the traditional Polish butter lamb. And then that week we also have a program in the gallery. It's an Alzheimer's and dementia informational session, kind of an introductory level. What do I do about this? How does it impact my family? Where can I get help? And then we have we have our traditional library film series on a Tuesday. The thing that's really, that was great last year, and we were really happy to have it again this year, is the Utica City School District Art Show. Mm-hmm. We anticipate that, anywhere from 500 to 600 people come in when we do that show, and this year was more of the same. It was a great event. The building was full. We actually stayed open later that night just because we know people come in and they want to they come into the library, some of them for the first time, and they say, wow, this place is great. And then we don't have to say, well, I'm sorry, we're closed. We get to say, well, here's how you can get your library card. Here's all the other stuff that you can do when you're at the library.
The you've got another room down there that used to be, I don't know if it's used for anything anymore or not, but I think they called it the community room, and that's in the basement, a little small room.
Yep, that's still used and booked by programs. We have a community garden on the library space. That group will meet there monthly. They'll have their meetings. We have a Saturday morning kind of group of local teens and youth who do the Magic the Gathering card games. It's open. I mean, we have had more inquiries because we now have our renovated children's room open. Yeah. Some of the stuff that used to happen in that space now happens in the children's room, so it's actually freed up an additional room for us to book more community groups into using.
I'm glad you brought that up. The children's room used to be in the basement for as long as I can remember, was in the basement. Now it's up where the reference room, the reference room used
Absolutely.
to be. Yeah,
yep,
talk
absolutely.
about that.
So the renovation was completed early last summer, and going back to some of the really encouraging numbers that we've seen over the last year, we actually tripled the number of kids who came through and participated in our summer reading program, which we think is we know it's a direct result of that investment that the community made into that space. And it also allowed us to now have a space where we can go out and do more outreach and say, come to this attractive, renovated, modern, yet still historic space for your children to do all the things you would do in the basement, but now you don't have to go around the basement. And last week there was a young father came downstairs with 2 of his kids. He was given the tour, and he said, hey, when I was a kid, it used to be in the basement, and now it's upstairs. And the kids walk into that room, and they're just their jaws drop and their eyes get wide open, and they immediately take to it.
When I was a boy, and I'm trying to think, well, so long ago I can't remember, but I was a small boy, and in the Utica Public School System, and they brought us over to the Utica Public Library, gave us a tour, and gave us a library card. Does that go on anymore?
We do outreach into the classrooms, but we don't necessarily have the tour groups of local students coming through. We do a really good push before summer reading so that students in the classrooms know that summer reading is happening. And that's, again, because of that, we registered almost 150 more kids in the summer reading this past summer than we did the year before.
Speaking of numbers, do you keep count of the number of people that physically come through your doors?
We do. The last year we had about 180,000 people come through. So our busy days, like that Utica City School District Art Show, we get over 500 people per day. People often say, well, when's it busy? And I was in the DMV this morning, and I heard them say the same thing, and they said, we're always busy. And that's, like I said, when I have people come into the building and they look around, they're often dodging kids, adults, people coming in and out constantly.
Is that 180,000, is that a number that is down from previous years, up from previous years, staying the same?
It's about the same as the last couple years. Libraries nationwide have seen some downward trending numbers. The funny thing is, I think part of that is because there are, in essence, there were people who had no recourse but to come to the library, but the people who always came to the library are still always going to come to the library, and their kids are going to come after them. So we still have a really solid base of people who use our resources, and they're influencing their kids to do the same thing. So.
I see something going on in the reading room I want to ask you about when we come back. Chris Sagaas is our guest. We're talking, it's our little contribution to National Library Week. Chris Sagaas is our guest. We'll be right back.